Hi, I'm Professor Hastings, and I'm a designer, artist, and educator. For the next 30 days, I will be embarking on a journey to share some of the things I've learned and I continue to learn as I deepen my study of empathy. In this video, I'm giving an overview of what we'll be exploring over the next 30 days and sharing a little bit of my background. Firstly, I am not a thought leader or an expert in empathy, but I am a student and practitioner of the techniques and methods of applied empathy and compassion. It is for me a deliberate practice, which means that it's the type of practice that is purposeful and systematic. To be sure, I fail at my practices of empathy as often as I succeed, but I don't give up. So think of me as your guide on the side as we travel from the depth of our hearts to the hearts and minds of others. So a brief history of my study and practice goes back to 2011 when I attended a weekend intensive training in Marshall Rosenberg's Nonviolent Communication, a Language of Life. It was held at the Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health in Massachusetts and was transformational. On returning to daily life, I quickly realized how difficult the application of the practices would be. I began to search online for a practice group and found one in the next town over, and started attending as regularly as I could over the next 9 years. Since then, I've attended additional trainings, read books, watched videos, attended online workshops, and year-long classes. I began to teach empathy methods to my first-year design students about 8 years ago. The range of study we cover goes from how these practices can be applied to family and roommate relationships to how they can be implemented during UX research for software application design. The working definition of empathy that I'll be using through this 30-day exploration is this: the ability to understand and share the feelings of another, and to learn or recognize the needs that those feelings point toward. I'll often use the term compassion in replace of empathy, so for this journey, please see them as interchangeable terms. There's several types of empathy, but we won't be going into that here. The information is easy to find, and I'll drop a link in the description of this video. Something I want you to notice about this definition as our starting point is that it does not say, feel the feelings of others. We won't be exploring what it means to be an empath in this series, although that would make a really interesting series in itself. We'll be looking at the methods and practices of applied empathy as understanding the feelings and the needs of ourselves and others from as many different angles as possible. Hopefully, this will jumpstart or deepen your own study of applied empathy. We'll be exploring empathy and compassion in service and product design with methods such as empathy mapping, personas, active listening, and body storming. That's a fun one. We'll learn how these same methods can be applied to create closer connections to the people in our lives. But first, we're going to lay a foundation of self-empathy and self-compassion that can be built upon to extend toward other beings that inhabit our world. I'll be providing worksheets and a bibliography of resources. I'll demonstrate the exercises alone and with some fellow practitioners. I'm also hoping to line up a couple of interviews with people who are more learned and adept at the practices than I am. We'll look at what empathy means in leadership and how a leader might best meet the needs of their people, teams, and organizations. Rather than pretending that emotions have no place at work, leaders that recognize and identify the feelings and needs of their employees and strategize to meet those, in addition to the organizational needs, those leaders will help to build a new world where people and companies flourish together. Massive layoffs, furloughs, unemployment, and business closures are wreaking havoc on the lives of millions, if not billions, of people right now. Leaders who ignore or deny the fear and low morale of their people have no place in a culture of empathy and compassion. We'll also look at dark patterns and emotional manipulation in product design, marketing, advertising, and algorithms. We'll take a peek behind the curtain at how our feelings and needs are being used to manipulate us to act in ways that may not be in our best interest. In this time of COVID-19 and the worldwide acknowledgement of the movement for Black lives, we need a greater understanding of each other through empathy and compassion, and its practical application in our everyday. I have so much to learn and so much to share. I hope you'll join me on this journey. Let me know what you're most curious about in the comments, or please share resources that have been helpful to you. Thank you, and I hope to see you again.